Hey guys, this video is if you need some help with setting up your Git repository for IntelliJ. So if you know how to do an IntelliJ, because IntelliJ and PyCharm there are from the same provider, the same vendor, so you should be able to do it same for the PyCharm. I have checked, the steps are basically the same. Now, before we begin with the steps, this was for how to use Git on Visual Studio Code. Why I'm coming back to this document is because a lot of steps, conceptually, they are same, but just, the user interface is different because we're using different software, so it's different. So the basic idea is that we need to clone, which is the first few steps, understanding what we need to clone. So there's two ways you can clone. We want you to use the URL, HTTP URL, to clone your repository. Now these steps, regardless of what ID you're using, should be completely doable. Sometimes if you haven't used Git before or you never had something that sets up your username and password for Git, it might not work for you. For that case, you need to go to troubleshooting. And if you get issues such as you're having trouble with cloning the repository because it's saying some issues related to authentication, then these are the steps you need to follow. So these steps you will have to follow regardless you're using Visual Studio Code or IntelliJ or NetBeans or so on. So if you are a Windows user, go to your command prompt and first put this line. Your name here should be your actual name, and then email config the email for the Git, and that should be your student email. Similarly, if you're a Mac user, go to terminal and then do the same one by one. Later on, you go to gitinfo.monash.edu, where you will have to create personal access tokens. So you go to your profile icon, then go to settings, and then access token, and fill out the details as per the screenshot. So just put that name. If you're using a different ID, for example, IntelliJ, you can put IntelliJ here, click just the API, and then it should click on a button that says you can generate the token. Now, if you didn't have to do any of this, this is how the URL basically looks like. So something like this, where you start with HTTPS, then the server's address. It will be my name because all the repositories are initialized by me, and then the name of the repository that you have access to, .git. This is how generically a HTTP link looks like. What we need to do, if this way is not working for you, as in you get some errors related to not being able to clone your repository, or similar to something like authentication fails, you need to modify this address to something like this. So https://abc001 will be something as your student username. So use your own student username, and then colon, and then put your personal access token at, and then the everything else is same as the one at the top. So from Git up to .git at the end, all of this will be same. So now, because I've been using Git for years, my computer already has global username and password and email and everything for Git configuration. So for me, I will be just using something like this and it will work. But don't get confused when I show you the setup, because it works for me, but it may not work for you. So if it doesn't work in this kind of format, then this is the format that you need to use. Remember that this is your student username, and the second part after the colon is your personal access token that you will make from, I can show you that right now. So you go to this profile icon, which is here, then go to settings, then go to access tokens, and you can see I have an access token here, and then if you been using something like this, you will see that you have some access tokens, but it's not like you can use someone else's access token. Everything is linked to their own account. So if, for example, we are creating for IntelliJ, expires at, no need to put any expiration, and then just say API and then create personal token. So when you click here at the top, it will show you your personal access token, what it is. Make sure you note that down, otherwise you will end up creating one again and again if you don't remember it. So make sure you note that access token key and put it somewhere in your notebook, or put it somewhere on your computer where you know you won't forget. And later on in the other steps, we will follow using it. Now let's start with why we are here. I created a demo project for this video. So for any of you guys, this is basically what you see at the beginning, and that's it. That's what you should see. So there are no files added for you. It's just an empty project which has no file, no README or anything. Now, if you did setting up Git with Visual Studio Code, you would have realized I asked you to, give it a go with using a README file and adding your and your team members' information in there, which is something you can also do when you're doing with IntelliJ. Now, clone. So this is with SSH key. I do not want you to create SSH key first. Probably wouldn't understand how it works. So I don't like someone using something that they don't understand. So let's just use HTTPS. So we'll just copy. So if you go here, copy URL to clipboard. So we'll just copy this. And that's it. That's all we need for now. And then let's go to IntelliJ. This is our IntelliJ. Now, our project, even though it's empty, it's already on a repository. So I don't want to create, I can't import because it's not somewhere on local. I can't open because it hasn't been on my computer yet. So what is the other option left to me, which is checkout from version controls. Checkout is that there is something on the version control that I want you to check out and see if that is something that you can clone. So we'll say Git. So you click here again. The different options that are already installed in IntelliJ. You can add plugins more if you want. We'll go with Git. And there it is. So it kind of tells, so this is the one that I used before making the video to ensure that it actually works. So I added the new link here. So just copy and then paste. This is everything like I showed you on the server. And then just copying it, making a clone on my desktop. Then you can do test if you want, but I'm just going to go and clone. Check out from version control. Would you like to create an IntelliJ IDEA project for the sources you have checked out to this? And if, there is nothing in here, so yes, one of your team members should do this. And then, maybe create a file so that anybody else who begin with cloning, they already get one file. And this question wouldn't be asked to all the other team members. But if you're doing it first time for the whole team, you will get this question to answer. So say yes, and then see what you need. So we don't need any of this. We don't really expect that from you. So just create project from existing resources. And you can name your project. I would say just leave it as it is in the repository. It makes it very easy for us to know who the team is. So let's just leave it as demo project for you. If it's team 10, just leave it as team 10, please. And project location, desktop as well. And leave that as it is. So IDEA directory based. And then source files from your project have been found. Please choose directories that will be added to the project roots. These paths correspond to default, which is root, unnamed top-level packages. The program will recognize only those sources that are located under these directories. Now, it just says that there is something in here, which obviously there isn't, but it recognizes that, there is that project, although it's empty, there is that project, and that's what you want me to use. You can say yes and no. So I'm just going to it's already checked, so I'm going to leave it checked. And then next, no frameworks detected. That's absolutely correct because there's nothing in the project. Finish. And let's leave it to do its thinking. So it showed me on the other window as these nice tips, which I never, so you can say show tips and you can uncheck this. Then it won't ever show you the tips. I like seeing, like learning one every time. So I don't really get bothered with this. And this is what you see. So you expand this. This is the idea file, which has XMLs you should never touch. You can create more folders here. So you can create your SRC if you know how to create MVC project, for example. That's what we want to create. We can go here, new, sorry, don't go there. Go to the name of the project, new, and then where is the folder? And we can say model. And let's another one. Where was it? We can say view. And one more, which is and then we can create file here, which could be, for example, we're doing bake shop, so we can say bake shop system. So at least one control file, as I recommend to you. What kind of file is it supposed to be? So, you know, even if it's a Java project, you can still have a TypeScript file, XML file, JavaScript file. So it's trying to ask me, what do I really need? Now, since I didn't put .java at the end, it's still kind of, you know, trying to ensure that what kind of file are you going to, like, what kind of code are you going to put in there? So if you can, you know, if you keep scrolling, you will find the right file type, but you can see there's, you know, like numerous amount of file types that you can have, but it's also because mine is Ultimate, yours will be community, or at least from what I understand. So maybe less options. Do you want to add the following file to Git? This is why I like IntelliJ and Visual Code, Visual Studio Code, because they're so smart. They have their own little AI working in the background that just kind of, you know, do the things for you. So I can say yes. And just make sure that you know, you see J here, because that's when you can actually add something. So, you know, from the top, always put a good document header that tells you what this method is about, the version, the author, and everything else. And then let's start with our class. So class, bake shop, system, and then that. Now, we are going to get our IntelliJ help us here. So you can see it has constructor, toString, and copyright. Now, before we can do any of that, what we need to do is create our variables. So let's say private, and so don't take this. Actually, now I feel like I made a mistake, and this is just going to confuse all of you. Let's do something else. I'm going to delete this and just create a dummy. Just so you don't think that that is what you need in the control class. So I'm just going to say demo Java. And we can say yes again. And let's do class. Oops, public class demo. And let's add two variables, private string name, private string course. And then let's go to generate, and we are going to say create the select both. So if you want a all parameter constructor, select both of these. So this one, and then just say Control or Command, and you can select both of them. Select none, so default, empty constructor. You can do that. You will see it. It's everything for you. Then we can add more stuff. So let's keep doing that. Let's add getters. So I want getters for both. And let's add setters. Again, you can add setters for both. You could just select getter and setter, but let's say you only want to add getter or setter for maybe not for all variables. So there's this choice for you. And then we want our old-fashioned typical toString at least that helps us display all the values of the variables, and that is basically it. So, this is a very general entity class, and this is generic simple entity class, and that you will see. So let's just save the file. Not that it's going to run or anything, and then let's go to version control. We go to version control, you will see options here, which is local history, shows you history and everything else, pop-ups, commit, update project. So we'll go with these things that we really need. So commit, click on commit. So it says, do you want to, what are the things that you want to commit? And this is where I'm going to say, okay, I'm just going to check if it has everything that I want it to have. Then it has these unversioned files, which is the IML file for the project and some XML. So I'm going to say, yeah, let's just, this is the first commit. Let's just make sure everything that would be related to a project is in there. And commit message, edit the primary files of the project and demo.js. And then you can have some options here, which is reformat code. You want to add the author, you can add the author, and then auto commit. I wouldn't say to select auto commit ever because you're still learning and you might jeopardize losing your teammates' code. So always be 100% sure before you do anything. Be sure that this is what you want. So commit and push. And there's this only commit option. So I like being step by step. So I'm just going to commit. It says error occurred, insertion failed, plugin Kotlin. Let's just disable the plugin. It's not like we need it. And start again. Got confused because I was working with a project that needed Kotlin, and that sometimes happens, so just be careful when you say yes or no in your project or anything. So I'm just going to let it finish scanning files to index, so don't haste, just be patient. And it should be starting the indexing, so it should be done in 6 or 7 seconds. Okay, it's taking a little longer. That's okay. As you can see, my IntelliJ is also due to be updated. So if you see that, make sure that you and your team members are always on the right version, because sometimes the structure of the files change based on what version you're using. Not that it affects the functioning, but it might, throw you in some odd cases. Okay, let's start again. Commit. No change is detected. That's funny. Let's see what is it saying in version control. And we're back here. So let's commit. Before we do that, I'm just curious to check if it did push last time or it was just committed. Okay, so it was just committed, but it didn't really push through, which is good because I didn't select it to push. And maybe it recognizes some changes on the java.java file, and it's fine. We'll leave it as a test, and then we'll say commit. And it says some files contains problems, 10 errors and no warnings. Fine. Would you like to review them? And I'm just going to say that's okay. Just commit it. And that's it. And then you can go again here, and you can say, where is our lovely option to push? Oh, there it is. And then you go and say push. And in primary place, it says, well, you have 2 commits. Which one do you want to push? And I'm going to say, let's just push all. Well, it doesn't push tags. No, we used to have that option, but I guess it doesn't anymore. So push and push successful. Now, if I go to the server and check, there it is. So it has this IDEA file, which you should now touch, as I said before, and then control, which has this Java folder, Java file with this code, and that's what we want. Now, when you're working as a team, something that I would like to mention is pulling. Now, why do you always need to pull? It's a safer way of making sure that you always take your team members' changes before you push your changes, so that it merges your current code files with your team members' changes. And then when you add your own code, if you want to push, maybe you can commit, and of course it will merge with your committed version of files. But it's always good that whenever you're working on a repository, save your file, commit, then pull first, and then push. Now, because I'm working just by myself, I don't need to pull. I know what I have on the local is same as on the server, but that always won't be true for you. So always make sure that first thing you do is save the file, then commit the file, and then you pull it, and then you push it. And that should do it for you. Some errors will come across, some are very explanatory, so you should be able to just handle them by yourselves. Otherwise, have a look at the documentation on Git, or if you still can't find a solution to a problem, ask me. But that is basically how you would use Git on IntelliJ or Python. And that's it.